Okay, so part 2 to the coffee enema process. Now it's time to create your nest. You can see that I have my warm water, I have my prepared coffee, and I have ice, which I don't put in until I'm actually administering that specific liquid. And I have my coconut oil. I also have this, which is the Enema kit, and I will give you a link. Again, you can purchase on Amazon. So I have used bags, the medical grade silicone bags. Gosh, I mean, in some ways the bags are so much easier, especially like when you're just learning this, because of the way that sometimes this, you just have to hang this just right. Like I basically hang it in the shower on one of the shower caddies from the bottom edge and tilt it forward a little bit so that when I'm laying down on the shower floor, I can pull on this hose and tip it a little bit. When you have a bag, you don't have to worry about that. So if you're new to this, maybe consider just getting a bag. Once you start getting into it, and I'll share links for both, then I like having the stainless steel. That's what Gerson recommends. It's, you know, I mean, I'm doing them regularly. I want this to last for a long time. But the silicone bag's also nice for travel, because it's especially important when you travel, because I just feel like things get even more discombobulated, and I personally find that I need more detox support when I'm traveling sometimes. So basically we're going to create the nest. I have one of these just sort of traditional lightweight thick yoga mats. I lay this on the ground. Then over that I put one of these yoga chamois that's really easy to clean, and it's kind of like soft. So I lay that over the yoga mat. Then on top of that, I put like a batik, you know, so like if there's some days there's leaking, some days there's not. I mean, you know, like we're biological animals. It's no biggie, especially if you've been a mom and you've had to clean up after your kids, it's fine. But if you leak a little bit, you want to leak on something that is printed so that it's no biggie. You know, it might get a little green, like some of that, the coffee, like I said, may turn a weird green. So I just use the same sort of setup every time. Like I have my special fabrics that I use. I also bring, I don't have it right here, but I should have. I bring a pillow. I bring a fuzzy blanket or like a fuzzy robe to sort of wrap myself up in, especially on the days like after the PK treatment. I'm even more like, I feel nauseous right now and woozy, and if I wasn't making a video, I would be well into my coffee enema and then I'll be crawling in bed. So not feeling great. And so I actually find that when I'm feeling this way, I really like to cover the back of my neck and my head. So I have like a long, very cozy sweater that's become almost like a robe that I wear, and I cover my head. And I bring the pillow, and you curl up on the floor. When you administer the coffee enema, you want it to go into your liver, so you will lay on your right side in the shower is how I do it, especially like being at someone else's house. You can get comfortable. I mean, when I've been at my own home and I was doing it regularly, I didn't need to get in the shower. I just sort of had it down. And the more often that you do it, the easier it is to hold, and the whole process is just like gets a lot simpler. I also like to keep 7th generation wipes on hand, so I really wipe myself and clean myself before I start the process. And then I keep these close by if something, you know, if there's a little leakage or anything like that, it's just super easy cleanup. I also keep a couple rags close by. And so if I need to quickly wipe up any leakage, it doesn't matter if it gets a little green or something. Another thing is alcohol. So basically what happens is, this is kind of an interesting setup. I just have this simple tripod in my iPhone, so I don't think you guys care. Basically, I like using this nozzle. I sort of graduated to this. When you buy your kit, they'll give you several different nozzles, and there'll be instructions, and they'll have pictures, and I actually, when I am done, I take the hose off and I run warm water through the hose. And before I use this nozzle, I put alcohol on it every time. Even in between like each warm water flush, each coffee flush, each layer of this, I'm always cleaning with alcohol before I'm administering again. The other thing is, you can see how I have it sitting here on the edge. I do, I'm really careful because I'm in someone else's home, so basically I find a spot that is not gonna get leaking anywhere, and like I'll put the coffee in there. You wanna make sure that you clamp it. That's like one of the beginner rookie mistakes, is like you won't have the clamp all the way and all of a sudden water or coffee starts going everywhere, so be aware of that. But I'll put the liquid in and then I'll literally, this tripod's not high enough, but I basically will stand up, I'll hold this up high, and I'll stand up so high that, and then I'll unclamp a little bit and I'll just run whichever liquid is in there into the hose fully and let it go out and flush out until there's no bubbles. And then I clamp. The bubble thing in the hose can be what makes it, sometimes you get a little air inside and then it's harder to hold the coffee. So you'll become your own personal pro at how to get your bubbles out of the line, squeezing the line, you know, kind of squeezing and pushing the bubbles out and then getting the air bubble out and then clamping really tight so that it holds its solid liquid. That helps. I like keeping this close by, and I put the nozzle in this when I move everything into the shower, so that when I take the nozzle out, I put it in this so that there's no coffee like getting into the grout of the shower. So yeah, that's pretty much it, except for, I guess what you do is like you have that nest that you prepare on the bathroom floor. You're also going to make a nest in the shower. Let's see if you can see here. This is a perfect bathroom for it because literally the shower is right there. So on that far edge of the shower, I put a towel and I lay on my right side. I hang the kit up on the shower caddy just across from me, so the line sort of is taut, you know, look kind of taut, which is good because you need it to have gravity. And then I basically administer it and then come over to the toilet and do the flush for the warm water flush. Again, you massage your belly, help get things out. You know, just gentle pushing in a sort of a clockwise motion can really help. Be patient with yourself and breathe deep and be gentle. Stand up and walk around and make sure everything's gotten out. Sometimes, especially like if you're new to this, like if I were you, I'd probably be drinking warm water, or even warm water with a little bit of coconut oil in it as you're doing all the preparatory stuff. It just primes everything to move a little smoother. And the one thing I do with the coffee, you definitely, with the water, you can kind of either lay on your back or lay in child's pose to administer. With the coffee, you definitely want to lay on your right side because you want it to go into the colon and up into the where the liver is, and you want it to sort of settle in on the liver, and the liver's on your right side. So I put it in the shower, and then I kind of, I mean, it's probably pretty hilarious to watch. No one will ever see it. But I kind of like shimmy my way into my little nest without standing all the way up, because I want to just stay as much on that right side and kind of stay down. You could just stay in the shower if you wanted, but I have like this attachment to this cozy nest that I do. I also, there's a heater in this bathroom, so I turn the heater on. I have it really warm. Sometimes I'll wear socks if I'm cold at all. And like I said, I have my teddy bear and my pillow and my cozy blanket and my hooded robe. And then I curl up and I turn the timer on. And I think one of the most important aspects is that for me, detox is all about the release of that which is discordant. So, the pathogens, as we, even if, whether or not you're having treatments that are lifting the pathogenic toxins to the surface or not, this is a process of sort of flushing those toxins out. And so I'm very intentional about it. And so I create the space to be very sacred. Oftentimes I'll have like sweet flowers in the bathroom. I'll play sacred music while I'm preparing everything. And then I listen to Abraham Hicks while I'm holding the coffee. And it's just become a ritual. I've tried to listen to other things, and it's just like, I just feel incomplete. I feel like my ritual is just messed up because, while I'm holding that coffee, I'm actually focused on shifting my vibrational state. And I purposely track my thoughts to something positive. And I love Abraham. I listen to many spiritual teachers. It's just that for this specific thing to just pump that positive muscle, pump that positive rampage, that I call it the love muscle. It's like, I personally think it's one of the most important parts of the process because you get your mind on board with where you're going while the body is flushing what's from the past, what's been toxic. So I guess maybe I'm starting a new thing, this sacred enemas. That's what we're doing here. And I find that I have what I call playfully enema downloads like every time. I have a life-changing, clarifying knowing that feels like a gift, like a piece of knowledge that just lands within my cellular being in the process. And it happens so consistently that I've started recording my enema downloads because they're just incredible teachings. Like I'm shocked myself, and I've been able to make some radical shifts pretty quickly as soon as I get that clarity that comes from being able to really hear myself instead of hearing the consciousness of the pathogens and the toxins. That's what's so trippy about having a body and having a mind and having consciousness, is that our thoughts, there's all these movements, and Abraham's one of them, about controlling our thoughts. And what I'm experiencing is that it's not always about controlling the thoughts. For me, it's a lot about witnessing and being able to create space between me and the thought pattern enough to know when it's actually me or when it's actually the consciousness of past trauma, or the consciousness of the pathogens, or the consciousness of the toxins. These toxins, they really do have an effect not only on our body, but on our mind and on the function of our brain. And my brain training guru, and I have spoken about this, there's even a video about it, and it's one of the most fascinating things I have experienced in this healing process, is that, the health of our brain actually impacts our thoughts. And so as the brain becomes healthier and as the body becomes healthier, the clarity and the positivity and the access to love and the connection to love and the knowing and the discernment, it's all so much clearer. And for me, that's like a big aha, because I've just been fighting to try and control all of that, because I'm sort of an A+ student, and I've been doing all this personal development, mind control stuff for over 20 years. And it was really frustrating for me because I was doing all my work and there was still this thing that was still there. And once I started doing the deeper detoxing with the enemas and the colonics, and also the brain training, I started to have a separation between me and it, and started recognizing it's not me. It doesn't even belong to me. And that makes it a lot easier to then focus and choose, okay, well, what do I want to attune to? And that's why it's so important for me to play Abraham while I'm going through this process, and to play sacred music while I'm preparing. And sometimes if I'm really, really struggling, which happens a lot, I've had a lot of trauma, there's a lot of darkness, you know. And you know, if that's how it's going for me that day, then, you know, it's Abraham all the way, from the minute I start preparing all the way through, and sometimes while I'm laying in bed too. And then afterwards, so I rest afterwards. I get in bed and I cozy up. I have some healing, like a healing cape and hat that I wear that really helps my brain and my nervous system feel cocooned and safe. And I put that on, and I put my eye mask on, and I get in bed with my EMF-free heating pad that also has tourmaline and beautiful infrared healing frequencies. And I relax deeply and listen to the Cell's Breath meditations. Usually I go into a deep state for the entire length of the Cell's Breath meditations for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, unless something else has to happen. But that rest on the other side of this big flush, I believe, is also really important. Again, it has to do with, you know, where you're at in your process. I mean, when I was doing these daily, I was doing them in order to get the toxins out so that I could have energy to work. And so I had a sort of a different protocol. I didn't get in bed. I actually then went on my walk, went down to the beach, you know, did my movement, and I had a whole other way that I was actually amping my energy. But right now, I have to be very careful of amping my energy, and especially after a caffeination like this, it's very important to just do everything possible to support the nervous system in a recalibration and a deep rest. I hope that this serves you and helps you find your way to becoming more and more whole every day, and to have more and more freedom to be the expression of the truth of who you are. I love you.